Welcome in, everybody. My name is Gracey with Northern Astrology. You might remember that I used to do live streams. Like I was pretty much on camera for 20 weeks straight, thanks to the sports astrology work that I do and everything that is involved with that. So live streams were going every Sunday, and then I decided to take a little bit of a break, and that was after publishing 2 books, a magazine, and then my face decided to completely give out on me, and I developed Bell's palsy. This side of my face was just not having it. And, you know, when I thought about it more and more, I was like, this is so Gemini moon chart ruler coded, right? Half of my face, having the moon as a ruling planet is absolutely an interesting experience. So to say the least, I have been on quite a journey over the last 5 months since you guys last saw me. I think I was doing the Housewives astrology. I think it was the Pisces season. Yeah. So I ended on Pisces. I started on Sagittarius. I ended on Pisces. And then I was going to get to Aries with Margaret Josephs of the Real Housewives of New Jersey. And while I was going through that process and building her profile and doing the research and everything, I ended up having so much happening, and it was like my face froze. I kind of had a problem with the fact that I couldn't speak clearly. If you guys have followed my channel along the years, it has been a lot of my openness about my journey with my speech impediment and having a Pisces Mercury, and that Mercury happening to square my moon, and these things being very much like part of my story. And I think everyone has a story to tell, and that's where a lot of the astrology that I am interested in comes from. You know, the housewives do have a story to tell, whether it's highly edited on Bravo TV or, you know, it's their actual astrology chart and their kind of core personality. It's just truly amazing to see the differences in people, and every single person is as unique as a thumbprint. And I think it's like I have the actual number somewhere, but it's like very, very rare to see the exact same birth chart because everything changes all the time, always. And that's the beauty of time and space. And that's what astrologers study. We study the inevitable and the unpredictable, while also quite predictable if you know what you're looking at, and how it all connects. And that can make you go absolutely bonkers. I remember when I was starting into my astrology practice and offering readings for the first time in 2021. And I was doing this under my astrology meme account. And it was satisfying. And I definitely had some moments where I'm like, okay, I've really made a difference. But I didn't have my face on it. I didn't have my name on it. It was just a kind of an account that was there. And that was, I think, July 22nd, 2021. I know I started my YouTube. I'm pretty sure that's the date. But it was like when I was really kind of feeling like, okay, I don't know whether I should be taken seriously as an actual astrologer or if I just like making astrology memes. Being ruled by a Gemini placement is ridiculous. So my Gemini moon absolutely was like, let's do memes. Let's not be too serious and let's have fun with this. And then the more I got into astrology and the more that I actually started understanding of this ancient art form, I'm like, there's nothing funny about this. By the way, shout out to Red Hawk. Thank you for letting me know that you love the channel, as well as Jupiter's Bunny, the stars advocate. She's here. Thank you so much for watching this. I'm just like really geeked to be on camera again and to be talking, because like from April to like May, that was the most silent I've ever been. I was by far the most feeling trapped in my face. I want to give a shout out to my chiropractor, because that's the person that truly put me back together. Whole Life Chiropractic here in Kansas City. Dr. Nicole and Dr. Madeline are absolutely incredible. And they gave me some new space wave laser technology. I sound like an absolute idiot trying to explain this stuff to you guys, but they know what they're doing, right? The fact that it appeared on April 7th and by May 7th, my face was fully healed, I was shocked. Bell's palsy takes 6 to 12 months, if ever, to heal. And it's scary. It's scary. And I knew exactly what had happened to it. I had neck pain and I was like, I can totally handle this on my own, true Aries fashion. And I was like, I can do this. I can handle just, working this out of my neck. Turns out I don't know anything about the spinal cord or the neck at all. And I should not do that. So luckily I had some acupuncture, laser therapy, and then now I'm getting chiropractic care from those amazing women and just really being open to new forms of healing. Acupuncture was something that was absolutely a journey that I went on that I was like, I have no desire to put needles in my face. And yet it helped in that 40-minute meditation that I was kind of forced into during those times. It's like, okay, Gracey, where are you going to go with this? Like, are you going to sit here and sulk? Which I absolutely did for a few days. By days, I mean weeks. But the more that I focused on the fact that it was treatable and the fact that it was healing was kind of the turnaround point. The more that I just stayed positive and was like blindly delulu about healing my face. And those things actually are backed by science. Being blindly optimistic and having blind faith can actually help speed up the recovery process. So I'm glad it happened. I'm glad that I had the ability to have that healing process occur. I'm glad I had the rest. I mean, I knew that I needed the rest, but I wasn't really quite sure how much I needed the rest until this all happened. And yes, Red Hawk, don't wait for the perfect moment. Take the moment and make it perfect. That's exactly right. Take the moment and make it perfect, because if we just sit around and wait till when we feel comfortable to do things, we're never going to do them. I don't feel comfortable doing anything ever. You're right, Rose. Some say it's a placebo effect, but I really do feel that there's power in each and every one of us to heal ourselves and to make our bodies work for us. And it's not easy. What I had was not anything debilitating or life-threatening. I was worried about I could have possibly had a stroke. I don't know if you guys know this about me, but I take care of a lot of people in my life. And sometimes that can take a toll on you to the point where you're like losing your mind. Like, when will I get a second for myself? I have 2 amazing children. I take care of my dad, who has had a myriad of health ups and downs over the last few years, but he's such a fighter and so strong that it's like, if he can come back from an emergency open heart surgery, then a subsequent heart surgery, and then a back surgery where he fused his spine together, because he had been in a car wreck that broke every bone in his body when he was in his 20s. So then he went on after that to play rugby, and he's in the Hall of Fame for rugby, and he's, yes, a Scorpio Mars. It's just incredible how much healing and resilience was already in my DNA by the time I even showed up in this world, that I just keep going no matter what. There's been times where I've had illnesses that I didn't even know the origin of. Most of my Saturn return was spent trying to figure out what the hell was going on with me with my ridiculously high white blood cell count. And I had lost a lot of faith through my Saturn return. That is when I kind of picked up astrology again. And by kind of, I mean, I have known about the stars since I was a kid. Obviously, every child looks up at the night sky and they're like, wow, that's freaking cool at some point in their life, right? Some, it sticks a little bit more than others. And some are like, okay, I have questions about this night sky. Okay, I'm going to get to the bottom of this. Fun fact, if you have 7 degrees Leo in your chart, that is the constellations are in the night sky. It's like a wonder of constellations in the night sky. I absolutely am convinced that those people just see the world in like cosmic patterns and symbols because they have that degree in their chart, especially if it's prominent. And it's a magical degree to have. But anyways, there is so much about the brilliance of the night sky that can captivate each and every one of us. And obviously it has since the ancients. And we don't even know how old the ancients are. Isn't that crazy? Like most of history is just made up by the people who wanted to like have that narrative. So when you're learning about it, unless it's like in the last like 100 years or so and like heavily documented, even then it can be manipulated. So as much as I love history, as much as I love diving into the ancient, the biggest thing that we can do is live in the present moment. And astrology really helped me kind of like find my way back to the present moment. I live in the future all the time. I talk about how I can't wait for this to happen. I can't wait for this to happen. And when I do that, it's like, it doesn't do me any good. There's no good in living in the future. Everything that I want and need is right here and right now. And so kind of rewiring your brain to see people as their charts, see people as their placements, and really get to know the magic within each and every person around me was like where I fell in love with, you know, everything about astrology. I was kind of in the mentality when I discovered astrology that none of this shit is real. But that quickly went away because I got roasted the moment that I found what I thought was my birth time. Yeah, I had 2 different birth times for a very long time. But I rectified my birth time and I was only 1 hour off. I got the minutes right exactly. But I was an hour off. So now that I know that, it's like, it's kind of cool to look back on all the things that I like believed when I didn't have my proper birth time about myself and seeing how much that changes. We do have a question. Could you explain what Scorpio Mars means and how that impacts a person in life? Having a Scorpio Mars means Mars is in its natural home, with Scorpio and Aries being the 2 signs that Mars rules over. So in athletics, especially if you have a Mars conjunct your MC, which is your midheaven, or your ascendant, which is your rising, that is a very favorable position for athletes in astrology. There's also something called the Mars effect that if you want to dive really deep into the deep pockets of astrology and how the astrology and scientific community kind of cross over, there's something there that you can definitely look at. You know, being able to see people as their placements really helped me a lot during my Saturn return. I started to forgive my parents. I know this is like shocking news that an 10th house Aries sun can forgive their parents. My parents were amazing people and they still are. My mom is living out her dream life in North Carolina on the beach with her husband. My dad is an incredible businessman and has dedicated his life to building a business that is really still doing well, and he's almost 75. I'm just really grateful to have such supportive people in my family. My mom is an Aries Mars, my dad is a Scorpio Mars, and I'm a Cap Mars. So if you need any sort of Mars counseling, I got you. You can always check out my readings. They're available. I'm also offering spiritual counseling now, which is something that is new to me. And yet I've had a lot of requests for people to be like, hey, can you teach me about how you read charts? Hey, can you teach me about this? And I'm like, I'm not a teacher. What do you mean? And then my 9th house Mercury kicks in and it's like, excuse me, ma'am, you've been a teacher your whole life. I've been a know-it-all my whole life. That's my problem. People get tired of listening to me sometimes. And it happens in the astrology community too. They're like, oh, there she goes again, speaking in absolutes. And yeah, you know, my Pisces Mercury in the 9th house can come off like a rural farm preacher. And I'm just really proud of myself for being able to say rural. With an R speech impediment, rural is a very difficult word, and I don't think I'm even mastering it, but the fact is that we all have our uniqueness, and it all combines from the environments we were raised in, the people we were raised around, but also our cosmic energy within. And that's what I love working with all sorts of people. I love working with people who are brand new to astrology, that have no idea what their astrology chart means, but they have their birth certificate with an accurate birth time. The reason I stress the accurate birth time so much, because I've had people come to me and be like, I was born around like noonish. I was born around like 9 a.m. ish. 9 times out of 10, if somebody comes to me with an exact birth time, like 8:30 a.m., I'm like, that's suspicious. But since I am born exactly on a quarter mark, I got to go with it. But I really implore you to order your birth certificate, the long form certificate, if that's available. I've ordered birth certificates for people that have been dead for like 50 years now. So I know it's available. I've ordered birth certificates from the like 1800s for my great grandparents. And then one of them is back there. Where? There it is. That's Charles Milton. What's up, Charles Milton? Never knew him, but but there's so much that you can like go back in time and look up, and they do usually have a pretty good recording of the time of birth in the 1900s, which I was born in the 1900s. It sounds so like archaic to say out loud, but oh my gosh. Not all of us were born in the 2000s, Gen Z and Gen Alpha. But in the 1900s, they still recorded time pretty well. I learned so much from when I discovered those charts. And that's why I'm like, every single time I am able to dive into something new or dive into a new person's chart, I get excited. I'm an Aries sun, a Gemini moon, a Cancer rising. I like quickness. I like excitement. I like short burst of energy. And I like helping people, not really helping, but more like empowering people to see the magic within, because helping implies a power dynamic. And I am not the keeper of the stars. I am not the watcher of the stars. I am simply a person that happens to love astrology. I work in degrees. And so that's what my main point was when I started talking about why I need your specific birth time. I work with very, very specific degrees, which change and shift a birth chart completely when you don't have your proper birth time. So you get like 11:14 a.m., you're going to have a different birth chart than you would at 11:15, which is kind of crazy. The ability to tap into that all comes with the right astrologer or learning astrology yourself. A lot of the people that I have client-wise are complete and total brainiacs, and they know astrology so well. And it's like, I feel like I'm just reminding you of your magic, and I don't really need to explain it too much. And it's fun. And I absolutely love being able to help people in any regard, whether it's, showing them their magic or showing them the things that live within them that they don't even realize, but they might subconsciously. So once again, it's incredible to be an astrologer. It's incredible to be able to be a part of this ancient art form in any capacity. Going back to the comments, and yes, daughter is a Scorpio Mars and she wants to run track. Do it. Especially if she has Sagittarius placements, then that's basically the track star. Nora, hi, Nora. Oh my gosh. I just love your work and your approach to astrology. I'm glad to see you're doing great. Me too. I am just so grateful to be healed up and back on track. It's insane. Rosie, Chiefs by 100. Oh my gosh. That little pug. I know it's a person behind Rosie the pug, and we've actually talked as people, but I love Rosie the pug so much. Rosie's been like an OG Twitter follow that I've just been like, since my old account, which a lot of you guys don't even know me by my old alias, which are, it's just my initials. So it's not that like out of the blue, but GAT, GAT, I have it on my lighter. I think I can show you guys. Let's see if it works. I'm just going to put it right up front. There it is. My man's probably watching this like, babe, you know how lenses work. Just stop it. But Mariah and Bay is in the chat. Oh my God, hi. So Rosie's been incredible and been following me since my Chiefs days, where basically I created a personality in like 2009 called GAT, and GAT was known as the Gatling gun of sports talk when I was at my peak, right? I was very much a ballsy, masculine ass bitch. I did not have any sort of refined edges whatsoever. I did inside. I felt like I could be girly if I tried it, but like I was single from, oh my God, like 2014 on. I don't deem any of those people as serious relationships. And so the last, like the 7 years before I met my man in person were like, I felt like I was an American Gladiator dating school of just like idiots that I would run into. And it's just like I tweeted about it. I would share all the things that I was having going on, except my private life, like my family life. That was the one thing I talked about my parents, but I never brought up my children because I'm like, they didn't ask for Gat to be their mother. They had, I'm sure other things that they would like me to be doing. Now I'm the local witch that's been on the news and ESPN, and everyone, has seen it. And I can't really hide what I do these days. And it's kind of amazing because there's been like such a stigma around being an astrologer or a witchy person. I don't know if you guys know about the history of the last few thousand years, but women were not doing all this stuff out in the open. And being able to go on BetMGM shows and be like, they were all calling me a witch leading up until that moment. And I'm like, I kind of like this. I've never once called myself a witch. I did dress up as one when I was like 2 or 3. That was maybe a sign that I had bigger ambitions for myself. Oh yeah, the lighter is bought. I freaking love it. I've got it personalized online and I was like, this is cool. This can be my one last thing that I have left of my Gat lifestyle. Luna, so good to see you. Missed you, Queen. Can't wait for the NFL predictions, especially to hear you drop your knowledge. Oh my God, do I have a freaking football season ready for you guys. I'm just really excited because merging that side of myself as Gat into Gracey is just kind of what was needed for the soul. I was trying to explain this to my therapist, who is also an astrologer, and you just see my chart and split sort of like lives, like different personalities can definitely show up. Having a Gemini moon being my chart ruler means that I am like doing the little drama face. I can't do it. I'm not going to do that. Knowing that there's like some sort of energy around my mic. Okay. Wait, what is going on here? Live things. Yeah, I almost removed my camera from the live thing, but I turned down my mic a little bit just so you guys don't hear it just screaming at you. And maybe I don't need to be that close to the microphone. I don't know. But I'm sure that I will have an update there on the audio sound. But like all of the things that I was kind of like doing as Gat and then merging in, I was trying to like merge my astrology life into my like day-to-day sports figure life, and no one was having it. They were absolutely not enjoying the fact that I was so into this weird mystic stuff. At one point I had tweeted something. It was like, when people stay together for the kids, it's really obvious. And I was tweeting about something totally not about anyone else. And all of a sudden, this person started attacking me. I lost an actual best friend over that tweet. I'm like, damn, taking it personal much? But it was kind of like one of those things that I just spoke my mind on whatever topic came up. And then like the next thing would be like, you guys want to talk about the full moon? And no one was getting it. No one was having it. It was very much just like what is she doing? So when that Saturn return hit and I discovered that there's more to your birth chart than just your sun, boy, was I in for a surprise. I was like, wait a second. I can blame my personality on more things. And that's the first reaction I had. Was that the best one? Probably not. But the second reaction I had was, now that I've looked up my own chart, I need to look up Patrick Mahomes' chart. And he didn't have a birth time at the time. And it was kind of like, okay, do I even know what I'm doing? I think I said something like Cancer moon. We both have that. And I do not have a Cancer moon. I have a Cancer rising. So learning that kind of actual lingo and the actual placements that I was doing came much, much later. But when it did show up, I just started speaking in stars, and I couldn't stop. I don't know what it is about astrology symbols, but I wrote a whole book on how you can change your life with them, and it's free. Isn't that amazing? I'm so excited. I'm going to go back and screen grab this for the thumbnail. Now you guys know my secrets, but I love the symbols and everything so much in astrology that come through with the Sabian symbols. If you guys haven't seen my book already, I love the Sabian symbols so much that I use this book because it's full of magic and secrets and notes. But like the more I learned about the planets, the more I learned about the placements, the more I learned about everything, I was just hooked. So I wrote the Astrology 101 guidebook, which is on my website. So if you are new to astrology and you have no idea where to start, fun fact, I was at 1.2. And instead of finding shit through AI, you know who you are, I really, really, really encourage you to check out the new version of my Astrology 101 book. Brief sidebar. One thing I learned this last year was never pay somebody to do what you can do for yourself, because chances are you can do it better. And it was really hard to do that because I had no idea what I was doing with a website. And I had the most amazing experience with somebody coming in and redoing it all for me. And then now I am in charge of doing things. And it's like, oh my God, this is so great. I can like create guidebooks, magazines, and I can keep doing this at my own pace because I'm the one doing it. And I'm like, oh, this is how I've been my whole life. I've never once been able to wait for somebody to like catch up to what I wanted to do. And it's not because I can't. And it's not because I'm like, you know, other people suck and I just know how to do things better. It's just because I'm an Aries and I'm impatient and I enjoy. And if you're looking at the Vedic or sidereal side, I'm still an Aries Venus. So I still have plenty of Aries. I would also have an Aries Jupiter. So the impulsiveness is still there no matter what system you use. And it's like, okay, well, if that's how I'm going to live my life, then I want to like find other people doing that. And lucky for me, I love the internet and socializing and doing so much fun stuff that I found so many people to help contribute to this magazine and so many people that were wanting something like this to be in existence. Shout out to my new papers, by the way. It's like Chinese little graphics on the side, but it's like all these beautiful flowers and different intricate patterns. And then I have one that is a butterfly. And it reminds me of all the Libra degrees and the Sabian symbols that are about butterflies. And to me, Libras are butterflies. But we'll get to that in my next magazine. But I just wanted to say that like the symbols showed up so much in my life that I made this workbook. There it is. You can buy Linda Hill's book and then you can fill it out yourself. There's like the history of Elsie Wheeler plus Elsie Wheeler's chart. And then go in, very standard, kind of looks like a couple of my other books, and talks about you put your degrees down and then you get to actually like work into figuring out what the degrees are and what they represent. And you can do this for free completely at Linda Hill's website. The Sabian symbols are in an oracle that you go the one up. So if you're looking for 0 degrees Aries, you go to 1 degree Aries. If you're looking for, and that's the truth degree. But if you're looking for that true 0 degrees of Aries, you go to 30 degrees Pisces. So it kind of explains that in the book. Hopefully you guys can see where that's going to be like, I don't know, helpful when you guys actually look at your Sabian symbols. They're not for everyone and you don't always get to them right away in astrology. I found them like 3 years into my journey on astrology. So no, 2 years. Yeah. So it's like a great group of friends of mine introduced them to me and it kind of changed how I looked at astrology, because if you don't know anything about the Sabian symbols, it was a project between Mark Edmund Jones, a prominent astrologer, he was an artist, a TV producer, writer, all sorts of things. He had very much an occult following before they created the Sabian Assembly. And the Sabian Assembly was created in October of 1923. The Sabian symbols, however, were created on an unrecorded date, which I don't believe, in 1925. Like, how in the world is an astrologer not going to record the date, time, moment of everything? And I have a really exciting announcement that I didn't really expect to be giving, but I'm going to get to the bottom of this, okay? I found out that Mark Edmund Jones has a collection down in Texas at a cultural center of some sort, and the original Sabian symbol flashcards that Mark Edmund Jones wrote down while Elsie Wheeler channeled are in that collection. Box 19, I'm coming for you. But it's just like, there's got to be a story there. And it was 100 years ago this year that the Sabian symbols were created, and they're the only ones that I use. I don't use the modifications because ew. I don't subscribe to Mark Edmund Jones's modifications of Elsie's messages because Mark Edmund Jones, why do you have to have 3 names? Like, I go by one name, Gracey, Gat. Keep it short, keep it simple. Mark Edmund Jones doesn't do that. Mark Edmund Jones is a little bit of a moralist. He's a little bit of a stick in the mud. He's a little bit of an asswipe. He tries to get Elsie Wheeler as much as he can involved in the project. Obviously, it's a student of his, but he kind of just sort of casts her stuff off to the side and deems it as not as accurate when it's the most accurate as it's channeled from this amazing clairvoyant Elsie Wheeler. So I'm not giving the story complete justice, but once again, in the book, I have links for the full history of it from the Sabian Assembly and from other sources. So it's not completely propaganda. But it's good to have multiple sources when you are doing research. I don't know if I need to tell that to anyone, but it's great to have multiple sources. I happen to write an amazing, amazing book with so many different astrologers of all walks of life and backgrounds this January, and we had our source as us, the source, and it was incredible to be able to write almost a channeled book with a bunch of people that also love astrology. That is available too. It's back on my bookshelf, so I will get that in a minute. But doing all these projects and collaborations with other spiritualists and with other people was kind of the norm back then. Not everyone felt like they had all the gifts possible, so they teamed up with other people, they formed assemblies, and that's kind of the thing that I don't really enjoy about the astrology community and space, is how difficult it is for that community to show up when you're brand new, right? So if you know a lot of people, which I studied with a lot of people, I was alongside a lot of people in some astrology group chats and things. And so those people, we keep in touch. My best friend I met through an astrology group chat, and we get to stay in touch because of that. And we've built an entire friendship around the cosmos, and it's really, really cool. We even started a group project one time, and it was really fun to just be able to contribute a bunch of stuff. And then being able to contribute with those authors really helped kind of heal the bad contributions and collaborations I've had in the past. To put it mildly, if you come to me while I'm already in motion and you're not in motion yourself, and you expect to jump on my train and be yeah, I can ride these coattails out, you're going to be sorely mistaken. I have a 7th house Mars directly opposite my ascendant. I can scope those people out in a minute. And did I listen to it all last year? No, I made some horrible decisions. I decided to let all sorts of energies near me that I never would. And it was okay, cool. Now I've done it and I don't have to do it again. And it was knowing that I am in full control of my destiny as an astrologer is why I feel more people should learn astrology. And the more that I feel at home in my body, the more the signs keep showing up, the symbols keep symboling, all of it just keeps showing up. And being able to work with an incredible author, Mariah, she was in the chat earlier, that wrote an entire book on the goddess, and being able to tap into or unseen things in and around you through connecting with the earth, who is a living, breathing planet and a living, breathing being. It's incredible. That's the type of stuff that I surround myself with. People who dare to dream bigger and dare to dream of going against the grain. And I freaking love people like that. So, oh, Mariah's still here. Yay. Um, it's just so nice to be able to like say, hey, do you want to do something weird? And somebody else is like, yeah, let's try it and see if it sticks. And that's where I'm at with like collaborations. I really want to keep an open mind. So if you're doing something cool, want me to be a part of it, or if you're doing something cool and I'm like, yo, can I be a part of this? That'd be really awesome. I think that's like where I want to be. And knowing that's like boundaries for this year, I'm really excited about it. This will be the first football season that I am doing fully solo and I'm like telling people, yeah, hey, by the way, I'm doing a live show each and every week that I can. I will be traveling a lot more this fall that I'm kind of excited about. Oh, hey, Jess. Hey, Gracey. I'm glad you are doing well and happy to see you back. Also, absolutely love the Astrology of 2025 book, and it has definitely helped me this year. That makes me so happy because as someone who like strives for perfection thanks to my Virgo South node, I knew there were so many errors and so many things in my book that were just kind of like, well, I'll fix it when I can. Then we had Barnes & Noble come in and they helped me edit and push it back out to a global audience. So now it's available on Barnes & Noble as well as Amazon. It's available literally in 40,000 different places. So it's kind of cool. But knowing that like that process was so amazing to get through and to know, I say amazing because it taught me that I can like get through a lot of things, like how annoying the editing and proofing and formatting process can be. But like it also taught me that there's no limits to creation. So if I was talking to somebody that I happen to really like and I'm like, oh my gosh, we should do a book together, bam, I know how to do it already. So if I can tell you anything with Saturn and Aries, even though, yeah, the whole retrograde and going back into Pisces soon will be occurring, one thing I can tell you about both Neptune and Saturn and Aries that are currently just bullying the fuck out of my sun, by the way. My sun is at 2 degrees Aries, and so Mars is exactly opposing, and I have no Libra in my chart whatsoever. And then the sun, my sun, conjunct Saturn and Neptune at 1 degrees Aries. I'm like, this is going to be a fun year. So I knew, like, in my heart of hearts, I knew that something was going to happen this year where I could possibly lose part of my voice ability to talk or just be accessible to people. You know, when I had Bell's palsy, it was kind of hard to talk, so wasn't too accessible. But knowing that was kind of like, I knew the astrology was going to be wild, and I knew going into it that I didn't want to spend my entire 2025 telling people how crazy it's going to be. Like, we're in it. I'm living it. I am surfing Kali Yuga as we speak. I'm doing my best. I'm surrounding myself with artwork, like right over there. Behind the portrait of my great-great-great-grandfather is Empress Atlantis, Nicole's amazing collage. It's the whale one. I have the Bacchus collage over by my back door. I'm learning about so many things in the background of like, I guess what I've always wanted to kind of do. And I've really embraced that mystic side of myself because that's all we can do. This year, where we are in the world is a lot of synergy. There we go. Synergy. No, but it's a lot of mixing of energies. It's a lot of darkness coming to light. It's a lot of the light possibly turning to the dark. People are in it. They are in it. First of all, I don't want to like be one of those like end times people. I'm not a fear-based astrologer. I am working so hard to abolish fear from my life to the point where I'm like training myself how to sleep differently, working with the feng shui of my house, working with the living, breathing being of my house. That to me is witchcraft, is like perfecting your daily life before you try to assist others. And I was doing all the assisting others and not tending to my daily life. So this for me is probably one of the most organized and structured football seasons I'm going into since 2013 when I wasn't in sports media. 2013, I decided to start a blog, and that was after I was fired from my desk job by the most heinous woman I think I've ever been around, Virgo, that did not want to see. I like when you have an Aries sun and a Virgo sun, that in conjunct, that 150 degrees of separation feels icky. My dad is a Virgo, and I know them like the back of my hand, and I appreciate their neurotic energy because I have a South Node, IC, and part of Fortune in Virgo. I get it. I also have a 6th house stellium. I understand you, Virgos, but boy, is it okay to breathe every once in a while. And the world is not ending. It's not collapsing. Sorry, Virgo. Nothing's going to be happening here for you guys. It's just, you're just going to keep getting better with age and more connected with nature. That's what happens with Virgo. And I love it because the Virgo arc is probably one of my favorite, from anxious and like anxiety ridden people to connecting to the earth goddess and feeling like they are in control of their lives. It's a real thing. But getting fired by that lady, awesome. I ended up being like, well, I'm unemployed now. I have no paycheck and I have 2 children. This will be fun. Knowing that I was kind of in that place, I started entrepreneurial whatever I could. Started a sports blog in 2013. It's still out there to this day. Am I proud of it? No. The slogan was called Notorious GAT, GAT, my initials, if you missed the first part of this. And the slogan goes together, where my opinions about sports go together like cocaine and waffles. That was from Talladega Nights. So I'm sure you guys could tell that I was definitely in a creative spirit. And I mostly just roasted people and talked about the dynamics of the players and stuff on and off the field. It was a creative outlet of some sort. I don't really know what it was, but it started into a joint podcast with another person, and it ended up being like, hey, I'm going to take this a little bit more seriously. I'm going to go ahead and brand this podcast, make it my own. It ended up being like expanding to having a bunch of writers on board with it. And I ended up from 2014, starting the podcast in my living room, or my dining room actually, to the end of 2014 was the craziest ride. I ended up partnering with a TV network out of Tennessee, I think. I don't know. They're bankrupt now. Doesn't matter. I ended up partnering with a TV network that was like trying to go against the grain of traditional sports broadcasting, traveling all over the place to promote this. I was in the San Francisco Chronicle talking shit on Joe Buck. Then I was on all sorts of different random things, but I broadcasted the NCAA men's basketball championship in 2014 or 2015. Yeah, 2015. I don't know. It all blurs together. But by the end of 2014, I had like visions of a full-blown studio being built in my basement. So in spring of 2015, I said, screw it, let's do it. Built a soundproof studio in my basement, where it used to be this like dark, gross filing cabinet hellhole. My dad operated a business from his house for a long time, so all the filing cabinets ended up there. It was a mess. I ended up cleaning it all out, renovating it, painting it, putting up all the acoustics, putting up all of it. I hired a guy to install a mounted TV in the cement side of it. I had 2 microphones set up. I had everything I could possibly need. And I started a morning show from my basement with my best friend, Jess. And it was crazy. She would drive over in the mornings from like 20 minutes away. We'd jump on the show and then we'd be like, all right, let's talk about sports. And really, we were just talking shit about the people in sports radio in Kansas City at the time, which they deserved. They were pretty awful people. And then going into like mid 2015, people just started offering us, hey, do you guys want to come out to this terrible city in the middle of nowhere and do a radio spot? Hell yeah, let's go. And so while I had 2 kids, while I was raising them by myself, my dad didn't really need me then. He was gone so much that I just like raised my kids in his house and had all that. And it was just beautiful. Like, it's a very, very fun, like Cancer rising. Like, I felt like a stay-at-home daughter, but I definitely wasn't. I was not a stay-at-home mom, but I definitely felt like I was. The kids would be like running around and I'm like, oh my God, everybody be quiet. It's podcast time. You can't do that with 2 under 2, but I certainly tried. And then it was like going into this dreamscape of like, okay, I can get everything I want now because my goal was so limited. When I first started out in media, my goal was to conquer Kansas City media. I did that in like a month. Like I was the first female sports radio host in history in 2017. So it like worked up to that point, right? If I wanted a spot, I would say, hey, why don't you let me do this? I did bartering, which my accountant hated. And I just did things and got trade deals and did all sorts of promotions, events. I would pop up and like do calendars. We produced a calendar in 2015 and 2016 with Zubas. I don't know if you guys know those pants, but they're pretty fun. They're like the zebra stripe pants from all the different NFL teams. So it's definitely a ride or a trip, some would say, to like see them because it like reminds you of the 80s and 90s so much. They were created by 2 bodybuilders that needed better workout shorts than tight little like 70s and 80s shorts. Anyways, the Zubas people were one of my first sponsors, but we ended up doing 2 calendars where I produced, edited, and directed, and also was in the calendar. So I was doing modeling, I was doing sports media stuff, I was doing sports agent work because at one point I started helping professional football players manage their camps and their marketing. And that was through a friend of mine's, I guess, ex or something. I don't know. Long story short, I was all over the place from 2014 till about 2017 when my radio show started. So once the radio show started, I kind of felt like, hey, I can talk for a living. That's kind of cool. I had a speech impediment as a kid, so I feel like I've healed this part of myself. Now what? And 2017, if you know anything about sports, was really kind of like awful. Everyone was fighting about whether or not Colin Kaepernick was allowed to kneel for the national anthem, and then it became like everyone's think piece to tell pro athletes what to do with their free will, and I am not one to do that. And honest to God, the reason I left sports media was because it became so mind-numbingly dull to talk about other people accomplishing things all the time. I'm like, I want to talk about the things that I'm doing. I want to talk about the stuff that I feel and I think. And I think everyone has that like undercurrent in them. I feel like everyone has a need to tell a story or like a want to tell a story or simply they have a story to tell. Almost everyone I've met, I have found something interesting about them unless they're being mean to me. And they didn't want to talk to me. That's being mean, is not wanting to answer my nosy questions. But like I can truly find a story in everyone's life. There's nothing that I feel like is too boring because even the boring parts of life have extreme importance. And I was missing that. A lot of the times I was missing all of the blessings I had right in front of my face. And that's how I was kind of living. I was just living from gig to gig, from, commission check to commission check. And I was hoping it would all work out. And in 2017, I started feeling this like gnawing, like aches and pain in my throat. And I had no spiritual awareness at that time. I had no idea what was happening. And yet I knew that at some point there was something going on under the surface that I'd have to address. And I successfully figured out what was going on with my lymph nodes. I figured out that there was a really bad tonsil impactation and it was affecting pretty much my entire immune system. And I had been supposed to get my tonsils out since I was a kid. Never did it because I think my mom was too scared of it or something. I don't know. Whatever it was fine because it happened. And in 2020, I finally got my tonsils out and I've been like living a healthier, better life ever since, to the point where I'm like, oh, all that stuff didn't matter. I was just like overrun by anxiety and stress because my body had never really felt safe or like okay to be in one place. And that was kind of the deprogramming that I started to have with the, I guess, spiritual awakening side and diving into astrology, because you cannot avoid becoming a weirdo that just talks in like planetary aspects and like, oh my gosh, I have a 7th house Jupiter in Leo. This explains everything. Like you start to sound like that to people and they're like, cool, bro. Great story. And it's like this, it's word vomit. And people that I found on the internet, a lot of the times they just want to talk about themselves and their placements, and they want someone to hear it, and they want somebody to understand it. They want somebody to see them as they are and see those placements as they are. And so I love talking to anyone about astrology anytime. The one time I draw a boundary is when people are disrespectful. I have blocked so many people. Like, I don't even know how many people I've blocked, like, in the last 3 years of being on Twitter again. When I went viral for my synastry work with Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, I was getting quote tweeted for like 4 or 5 days in a row to either kill myself or to get a job. Not doing either of those. I'm good, thanks. The fact that there was so much like hate towards the astrology world during that time, I'm like, oh, people still aren't ready for this. I live every day. Mondays, ruled by the moon, I don't work. Tuesdays, ruled by Mars. That's my birth, the day that I was born. So I'm not going to like do anything crazy, but that's the day of action. That's when I start my week. Wednesday, ruled by Mercury. That's when I have research. That's when I dive into readings and recordings and the things that I need to do as far as fulfilling my astrologer duties. Thursday, expansion, abundance. Conversations are great on Thursdays because they're expansive and they have more life and like faith put into them. Fridays, Venus days. Today happens to be 8/8, which is the New Age Lionsgate portal, which I feel like I want to just say something. I don't care how esoteric you are. I don't care how deep into the mystics you are. Making fun of Lionsgate does really nothing other than discourage people from believing in magic. So do with that what you will. I am always going to encourage people, except I've definitely made posts in the past like, today is not a portal, it's a Gregorian calendar. Shut the hell up. I've done that. I'm totally guilty of that. And that's okay, because like, duality is a thing. You can believe in more than one thing at the same time. More than one thing can be true. We live in a world of so many truths, and they could be your truth or someone else's truth, but it's a truth to someone. And that's something that I'm like, hey, days like this that are not harmful, you know, a lot of people in the New Age world are scamming, okay? Let's just put it that way. A lot of people in the spiritual space and New Agers are scamming hard. They aren't living the life that they preach everyone else to live. You can watch these people. If you watch the cults, the Mother God cult or whatever that one was, it blew my mind because it reminded me of somebody that I actually let move into my house because they said that they wanted to like, you know, start a business, and like we were good friends at the time. And that they were like an au pair and that they had all these experiences in the middle of the pandemic. I'm like, oh my God, we can start an astrology business. We can do all this stuff. Turns out a little bit of a psycho, and that's okay. I'm here for it. Like if you need to get some crazy out, good news. I'm so highly protected and safe that I made it through a very, very stomach churning experience with that person. It had me believing in things more than I could even understand. Like things were happening around me in a paranormal or spiritual sense that were really astounding. And that's when I was like, oh, I think there's something energetically here that shouldn't be. And turns out it was that person. So I'm glad that you have like over 500,000 followers in the astrology world, or millions if you count all the platforms. But if you can't get up and clean your room, or if you can't wash a dish, or if you can't do the basics in life, what are you doing it all for? Like if you're out astroplaning into the middle of the universe and you're like, oh my God, I know the galactic secrets, but your room's dirty, that's spiritual. Cleanliness is spiritual. Cleaning a space is spiritual. Do I enjoy cleaning? No. Do I do it because I hate filth? Yes. I like dusting and arranging and like organizing more than I like the loud things. I hate vacuums and I hate trash bag sounds. I hate crinkling plastic sounds. So it's like hard for me. But I will steam clean and scrub and wipe down everything. That's my forte. But it's just the basics. Like these people can get you roped into manifestation class. Funny story with that one. since it's my show and I get to talk about whatever the fuck I want, um, I recently started the book Course in Miracles. A Course in Miracles is known in the spiritual space as a very large book. It's a very self-started, self-guided book, and it can be a really like eye-opening experience. I had signed up for a manifestation class in 2022, and the person running the class was like, okay, for $222 a month, you can be in this space and I will teach you how to reprogram your brain. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to be so cool. Like, I can't wait. Maybe I can offer like trading astrology services. So I did. And I was like, yeah, but my skills weren't matching up to the skills that I was supposed to be receiving. And until this year, I had no idea why. And when I opened the book, A Course in Miracles, for the first time, the lessons, there's 365 lessons. You follow them for a year. I'm about a month in. So I'm really excited about it just because I'm like, I love challenging my brain. I love keeping an open mind. I love seeing how the brain rewires itself. Psychology is my shit. My grandfather is a psychiatrist, and I'm still mad every day that my mom did not save his old medical files. But she knows I'm not actually that mad about it, because who knows what that would have led to. Knowing that like I really just love studying, and my fifth house Pluto is very much into studying. My ninth house Mercury is very much into studying, but it's never like arithmetic or things that are practical, like learning how to, I don't know, do your taxes yourself and not piss off an accountant that doesn't like the fact that you evade the IRS with bartering. Yeah, it would just like practical life skills would be nice. But the skills that I have are being mystical, strange, and knowing things. Those are my skills, and I'm okay with that, because I have now created this amazing world where I get to research incredibly deep and incredibly intrinsic topics, and I try my hardest to do so ethically. And that's where a lot of these scamming type of people come in, and they're like, yeah, give me $5,555 and come to my retreat. It'll be like a spiritual fire festival, and you won't know if you make it out. I think the best type of retreats are where everyone's like, yo, you want to go camping? Let's all gather. Let's all do that and go off in the woods and just be chill. Like, you shouldn't have to pay a couple mortgages just to feel better about yourself, right? So the things that I want to accomplish in the astrology space have nothing to do with monetary value. I'm not trying to like flex on you guys about the jets I'm on. I'm not on any. I'm not trying to flex on you guys about the lifestyle I live, because I live in Kansas. It's pretty legit. Kansas City is an awesome place. But it's not like what people would call a dream destination. I'm not flashing my shiny Rolexes. I have a Shadonis ring on, and I have my Andromeda Little Rooms ring on, and I have my Pallas Athena earrings in from Shadonis, and I love it because I love working with people who are passionate about what they do, and I'd much rather go to somebody that has practical, applicable wisdom that they're sharing already with the world. And I'm like, wow, that person's cool. I'd really like to get to know more of them. That's just what Twitter has been for me. I've made a lot of friends from it. I met the love of my life on Twitter. I'm not going to call it X. Deal with it. There's just so much about how I'm connecting with the world around me now that I'm just like, I want to give this all away for free as much as I can. So yeah, I have the free guidebooks, right? And you can download them. I have physical copies of them. So if you're interested and you've watched all of this so far and you're like, wow, I'd really like a physical copy. You can print them yourself. There's no like limit on that. You can print them out if you have a good printer. If you would like me to print them and send them to you, I can do that too. There's just little things that I'm like, I'm never going to like stop somebody or gatekeep people from, or gatekeep information from people to like keep it to myself. Cause even the whole, I'm going to keep my birth time super private so no one can hex me thing. I'm like, if it was more widely done, I think that more people would be willing to share their birth time, because it is not difficult to convince people to share their birth time with me. I just approach a lot of different people. Like, I'm in the space where I'm like, I'm going to reach out to this NFL player and be like, what time are you born? Tell me. Thanks. I I have a couple NFL players for this season for the Chiefs that I can do, actually 3, that I can put out there. So I'm like, that'll be fun. I went from having one Chiefs player's birth time with Mahomes to 2 more. And then we had Noah Gray last year. And then I added another with Rashee Rice. So if you guys are going to be watching for my football takes or any of my football insight, yeah, I'll have all sorts of it. The best part about having kind of like a free-flowing setup with, I guess, all the sports work that I'm going to be doing is that I can do the research before time. And that's kind of what I've been doing this summer, outside of making fun of the people that I was definitely talking about something else. I was talking about the manifestation program. I'm so sorry, guys. Pisces Mercury. But like having the ability to like make all this stuff and it's actually a real thing that I believe in and it's being given for free. That's where I was going with it. So the manifestation course that I was in, the person that did the manifestation course literally copied and pasted every lesson from A Course of Miracles and tried to pass it off as her own. Did karma catch up with this person? Do I need to do anything? But oh boy, did I want to say, I wanted to shoot off an email like, I started reading this book recently and it comes to find out you have been scamming people. And it's like, I also don't feel like being the judge, jury, executioner this lifetime. So I'm not going to be doing things like that. There are plenty of accounts that call out spiritual scammers and, all that. I don't need to be that one doing it because I don't really feel like being a hall monitor. That is very like monitor spirit energy. And I'm like, I don't want to watch all that because if I watch it, I think my brain will melt. But yeah, funny how karma just kicks in and it's like, hey, stop scamming people. You're going to have your whole practice taken away and bam, just like that. Luna says, I need Lamar's birth time. I just know his chart is pretty cool. Yeah, Lamar Jackson has got to be like one of the more calm, cool, collected, but yet full of rage people. And I would love to see that chart for sure. I feel like the rage is the disrespect that Lamar Jackson gets a lot of the time. Scamming and plagiarizing is absolutely rough, Mariah. People doing things behind closed doors and passing it off as their own, like people scamming things. I've known it a little bit too well just because the things that I've shared in the past with my experience of people copying and all that. Hell, my magazine, our magazine, was copied within the first like 2 to 3 months of it being in existence. And I was like, isn't that convenient? My face never hides how I feel about things, so don't worry. I was like, isn't that convenient? But the level of people that do things like that, I'm not worried about that competition-wise. I want more people to make magazines. I want more people to make YouTube channels. I want more people to be talking and sharing their knowledge, their story, their gifts, their insight. I would watch somebody put together a puzzle if they were really, really all about it, because that kind of energy is contagious. You can feel when somebody is in a loving space and not in competition with other people. I have a 7th house Mars, Capricorn Mars. I can feel it. Trust me. And knowing that it's like part of me to just wake up, decide I want to do something one day, do it, and then be like, well, that was fun. What's next? That's just who I am. So competing with me and trying to keep up with me is insane. That is kind of like something that I would say is like borderline, like, stop it, get some help. Because it's not really a competition when it's like, I love what I do. I wake up and do it no matter what profit, what outcome, whatever happens. If one person downloads my magazine or 1,000 people download it, I'm still going to get up and do it. So it's like people like that have like this innate drive about them. I love it. If you guys haven't checked out our editor, Mariah's YouTube page, you absolutely should. We are going to be blessed with a gathering tonight for Lionsgate. And I don't give a shit if you don't believe in it. The sun being at 16 degrees Leo, every Lionsgate, it's a beautiful degree. It's a rainbow appears. I'm pretty sure. Let me not butcher the thing that I'm like going to go ahead and say connects to Lionsgate. Brilliant sunshine just after a storm. So If you haven't already, there are really, really cool ancient stories that go back around this time, that involve the ancient Egyptians and the rise of the Nile, the heliacal rise of Sirius, all of those things. That all connects to end of July, beginning of August, right? So those days, known as the dead days, or the days where Nut was granted the ability to birth more children and ended up having the Egyptian gods and goddesses. It's kind of funny how those days, those extra 5 days of the year that we get that aren't in the 360-degree circle of the zodiac, it's like these extra bonus 5 days. We could all live in harmony with the moon if we just went back to having 13 months. Devastating. There's just so much about having the like symbols of these things kind of like wrapped around Gregorian calendar. So it is hard to believe it. I get it. It's hard to believe in things when they've been kind of taken away the magic for so long. But yeah, it's about to storm there, and that's amazing. Brilliant sunshine just after a storm. It's about the warmth of renewal, things glistening with raindrops, extremes, hallucinogenic drugs, extreme weather, hopes dashed, overcoming crisis, floods of emotion. Floods are very much connected with this degree, whether it's an emotional flood. I think if you look at your life, if you go back to 7/28 through 8/12 of every single year, so July 28th through August 12th of each year, there's a fuck ton of change going on. And I don't know what it is. I don't know the background, but it is absolutely an ancient energy. And it has nothing to do with the sky. It has to do with Earth. And so if we're looking to the sky for answers, I think what we can do is look to the sun, which obviously the ancient Egyptians loved them some Ra. And the sun being at that beautiful degree, it is it's a Cancer ruled degree because 16 is the Cancer ruled degree. It's kind of like this beautiful like mix between Cancer and Leo. I don't know. I'm a very, very big fan of keeping an open mind. I'll celebrate anything, right? Like I have brunches and parties on the solstice and equinoxes, and I'll celebrate anything. The one thing that I don't like is when people just keep a closed mind and they just are like, no, this isn't it. Because we don't know. There's just something about this time of year. I can tell you from my own experiences that it's a very powerful time of year. And when I was heavy into the ancient Egyptian lore and understanding this intercalculary days or whatever you want to call them, I definitely saw and understood things that I don't think I was meant to at that time. And it was very much okay, let me step back and realize what I'm dealing with here. I was also in a priestess school at the time, or like I had just quit this priestess school, and I was studying to be a priestess of Isis because I thought it was something connected to Mary Magdalene. And then one of my favorite Mary Magdalene experts, Kathleen McGowan, was like, no, that's a different Mary. No, those stories are separate. And I'm like, oh, this expert of 30 something years who's been literally following Mary Magdalene and the relics and all the claims and all the things involved with Mary Magdalene. She's been researching forever. So if I'm going to trust anyone, it's going to be Kathleen, and she's incredible. So I was like, oh, so I don't really need to do this. Cool. But the Priestess of Isis school was conducted by some random woman in the middle of nowhere. And she like told me I was too much from the very beginning of it. She's like, you journal too much. I can't read this. And then she like didn't remember when I like started the school. And I'm like, there's only like 11 of us, bro. Can you get it together? So yeah, I've just had like a very like stumbling block kind of experience getting into the spiritual space. But when I say I've gone to everyone and I've like tried everything to a certain limit, I really have. Like I've gone to so many different astrologers for readings because before I was confident of really like knowing myself and knowing my gifts and knowing the things that I do now, I was just going and trying to find someone to tell me what it was that I was supposed to be doing and tell me the big idea. And then I found myself being told by people that had no idea what I should be doing. what I should be doing. And I'm like, Gracey, you hate that. Why are you letting that happen? So it's like, I really had to make a choice in my astrology journey to be like, I am a professional now. Okay. And when I started Northern Astrology in September 2022, it was because I was like, I need to switch from a meme account. I can't be a meme account anymore. My old account was Dim Planets. I had no face. I just had a name. And it was really, really funny how many people don't know me in the astrology community from that account. They know me as this one. And they used to fuck with me back in the day when I had a nameless, faceless account and I wasn't a threat. And now that my face is everywhere and I live stream and all that, they like don't fuck with me. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. Thanks for showing yourselves. Same thing as writing a book. If you want to see who your friends are, write a book. Because I will buy my friends' books. I will buy 5 copies. I don't care. I have no problem being like, oh my God, you wrote something. Can you sign it one day? Like, I have 5 copies of my friend Jamal's book. I got a stack of copies of Mariah's book. Okay. If you guys are wanting a guidebook to the goddess and you haven't picked one up yet and we're close enough, or you've like, established some sort of relationship with me over the years, DM me, tell me this. I can send you one. It's fun. I love sending stuff in the mail. I don't actually send it. I love getting it all ready, but I hate going to the post office unless it's a specific post office like 30 minutes away. So I fuck with people's books. I fuck with everyone doing things. Like, if you write a book, I want to read it. If you write a blog post, I want to read it. If you make a video, I want to watch it. I want to support everyone that dares to support me. And it's such a beautiful process when you get to be around artistic people that are gifted in what they're passionate about. And I might not know a single thing. Like, if somebody were to talk to me about crypto right now, I'd be like, this must be like when people try to ask me about the stars and I'm in one of my moods where I'm like, let me tell you how it's all connected from the birth of fire. Speaking of fire. And I'm like, oh, this must be it. But I will listen to anyone talk about anything as long as they're passionate. And it's like, do more, be more. I will always encourage people to take up more space because I have been told my entire life to take up less space. And I'm like, I can't. I'm not programmed that way. I will continue being here, being a self-appointed expert until someone tells me, no, you're not. I did it in the horse business where I was 18 years old. Totally lied about my age, went to Colorado State, short classes, and it ended up hanging out with like some of the coolest horse people in the entire horse industry. One of them being Wayne Newton's farm. And so his breeding manager and his daughter, who was the farm manager, we just ended up getting along really well. So we went out and I was out drinking mojitos at the age of 18 at Colorado State, pretending to be an expert. And I was just learning about that, right? And it's like, there's so much about what we do and what we are passionate about that can lead us to new places. I ended up going to Las Vegas later that year, spending time at Wayne Newton's farm. My dad ended up going out to Vegas and was like, hey, I'll be out there. Can I come see you? I'm like, yeah, sure. Let's go. And he was born in 1950. Wayne Newton is a bigger deal to, I think, older people. But if you've been to Las Vegas, you've seen Wayne Newton Boulevard, you know he's a big deal. And so my dad came up to the horse farm and he's like pulling into Casa de Shenandoah with the gates opening up. And he's like, what is my daughter doing? And I was just out playing with horses, hanging out. And he pulls up, security lets him in. And he walks up, it's lit for Christmas. It was the most beautiful time to be there. And Wayne's getting ready to head to a show at the time because he was still doing a like evening show performance, I think at Hard Rock. I'm not sure. So he was heading out and we had already had dinner and all that stuff. And we were getting back out to the barn. And my dad is like, has watched Wayne Newton since he was a kid and like grew up with him, I guess, essentially. And Wayne comes out of the house and my dad's just like, and I never see my dad get starstruck ever, But Wayne's like, oh my gosh, you must be freezing. These Las Vegas winters are really cold. Can I get you a jacket? And I was like, no, no, no. And like my dad was toughing it out, of course. He was in like a silk shirt. Not the right weather for that. And it was just like this moment that happened. And it was because I took a risk. Yeah, I was lying about my age too. That's another story. Don't do that, kids. Especially Red Hawk, if you're still watching. That's a child that I might happen to know and be responsible for. So don't do that. But knowing that those are things that like I've had happen in my life just because I took a risk to go do something that I really wasn't qualified for, but I got in anyways and tried my hardest, made great lifelong connections. Erin's still in the area now and we can still reach out and like hang out whenever. And it's like one of those things where I'm like, life can be a ride. And that was when I was 18. So now I'm 37. That was a whole cycle ago, a whole nodal cycle ago. If you guys know anything about the North Node, South Node, you will know that they shift about every 18 months and also every 18 years they revisit where it was in your chart. And that's kind of cool. The midway is the nodal reversal. So for me, I have North Node in Pisces, South Node in Virgo. So the really hard time for me was when the North Node was in Virgo. I'm like, whew. All right, Red Hawk, thank you for confirming no mojitos sneaking off with Wayne Newton's entire breeding staff. Thank you. Yeah, Luna said that's me speaking about numerology. So into it. So I respect the people in numerology that don't tell me that what I'm doing is wrong. I have had to block so many male numerologists that are like obsessed with numbers to a point where I'm like, I don't think you guys understand. If our matrix or if our world is just like binary code, that's numbers, right? If the world that we live in is just coded by numbers, they can also distort and create rips in fabric of time. It's a very powerful thing to get entranced by numbers. The more that I dove into numerology, the more I'm like, I understand the end of Nikola Tesla's life so much more now. When you get to a certain level of like activated and you're connected to these things, they can go awry. And there's not as much of a space, I feel like, for spiritual awakenings in the mental health world. I myself have been through experiences where I needed a night's sleep and needed to just like go to bed. And instead I stayed up for like 3 days in a row researching things. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's all connected. And that wasn't healthy. You know, there are times that, I just needed to go to bed instead of staying up and reading something. And because information is so powerful for my Gemini moon, I stayed up and I was like, this is not a good idea. So there are times and places to like go into these deep dives. The people that you meet along the way can be helpful. They can be crazy. They can be giant mirrors that reflect back parts of you that aren't really like being seen or visited. And when I had that dark entity essentially move into my home, I learned what a safe and protective vibe I had already curated, because that energy wasn't allowed to exist in my home for very long. That was like 2 weeks max. And at the second week, I could tell there was something like physically wrong with this person. And our home is so full of love for each other. We show it in very strange ways. I have 2 Virgo Mars children and 2 Scorpio Mars men in my life. And one is my dad, one is my other half. Like, let's not think that I'm back in my having 400 boyfriends at one stage. That is like Scorpio Mars energy, Virgo Mars, and then my Capricorn Mars. I'm like, okay, everyone in here is going to be a fighter. Everyone in here is going to be strong in their own right. But like back then, it was just me, the kids, my dad. And I would say that I learned a lot. And I also had a specialist come in and bless the house after it was all said and done. And I don't have to go back to that, right? I don't have to go back to those places, but I can tell other people, be aware. Collaborations, the biggest thing you can do. And I was even told today that I was like really hard to Google. And I'm like, really? I don't think that this person had my full name because it's so specific. If you Google my name, like, hundreds of photos of me from my old live streams, my old broadcasts, my old radio show, all of it come up. But like Google the people that you work with. If you really are getting a weird feeling, trust your instincts. Even with me, Google me, read all my blogs, read all my tweets if that's what you want to do. I don't care really what you guys go and dig into. I've kind of lived a public life my whole life, and that is both good and bad. There's been times where I'm like, wow, it would be really great to not be this visible. And yeah, Mariah just said you're very easy to Google. It's just really like, okay, I am a real person, and I've been accused in previous situations where like people will meet me through the internet and they're like, you're not real. I'm like, no, here it is. Full color, unflattering camera angles. There it is. The first time I was on our newspaper here, the Kansas City Star, the first time I made the front page, I was 14 and it was on accident. Like I could not be hidden if I tried. I have tried. I've changed my number. I don't go out in public that much unless it's like to youth sports and maybe every once in a while a date night out with Bae. I do everything at home. I have date nights at home. It's beautiful. My patio is like my sanctuary. I live in the burbs, so there's not like a ton of land to go like walking around, but like building my backyard to be an oasis. We've got so much that we can do. Even if you're in an apartment, having it like a little space where you have a window, if you have a window, put rose quartz there and like open up the air and put some incense in front every once in a while. There's like ways that you can work with your home being a living and breathing being, just like everything else on this planet. But some of those things can be super overwhelming. So like part of my job here as an astrologer and as a mystic with a platform to share things on is reminding you the basics, and it reminds me the basics. And when I preach something that I'm not practicing, guess what happens? It pops up in my life, rears its ugly head, and I have to confront it because there's no separation from your words and actions. As much as our actions can be different than our words, when you speak something and you don't follow through with the action, the universe takes that as like, okay, so what she says, she doesn't mean. Got it. When you say things that are untrue about other people or that are really harsh and judgmental about other people, that energy goes back onto you. Just ask my sister. There's so much about the things that people say and the things that people do that are very hurtful to other people, but they're also way more hurtful to the person saying them. I was Captain Judge a Bitch. I would do nothing but judge others, try to manipulate and fix others' lives. Not manipulate their lives, but like push them in the right direction. Tell them the things that I wanted them to do. And then I had to realize, who the hell am I? Who the hell am I to dictate what someone's life should be about? My best friend, when we met up in 2020, it was like, well, we met in person 2021, but like when we started connecting in 2019 and 2020, it was like a breath of fresh air because everything she did and said was exactly what she said she was going to do. And I was like, oh. And then it was like, you do have that follow through. You do know what you're talking about. You have that ability to be a person in real life. And I'm like, that is so cool. I want to like be more of that. But even then she's like, people talk about it, but they're not actually about it. And that's the hardest part about the astrology world. She is the best and most talented astrologer that I have ever met. And she doesn't even practice astrology. Like that to me is mind blowing that we have all these people out here. They're actually incredibly talented. They have so much to say. They have gifts. They speak in a language that I might not speak in. They might know more about traditional Hellenistic astrology, or they might know more about modern techniques than I do. They might know about whole sign. I don't use whole sign because every degree is so important to me that I have to use specific Placidus houses. So there's like levels to all of it. There's things I don't specialize in. There's things that I don't offer. And then when I find those people that offer those things, and I'm like, oh my gosh, you're so ethical and upstanding. Let me refer all of my clients that I possibly can for your services to you. I love doing that. Like, I think that's what more people should be about. But it's like our words and our actions have to match our energy. And if they don't, then our energy will start to match our words and actions. And when we're not living in that perfect rhythm of speaking the truth, sharing our stories, it eats you from the inside out. And that's what I've been learning about in the months of my silence from, I guess, March 12th until right now. So almost 5 months I was silent, and I would tweet. People could usually tell something was wrong. I didn't want to share that anything was wrong with me until I had already beaten it. Of course, I wanted to make sure that I was in a place of healed energy versus trying to heal. Just because if you're 7th house Mars and don't have haters, then you're doing something wrong. So the peanut gallery is often loud whenever I do things. Even when I came out as an astrologer, not came out as, but when I was revealed as an astrologer on in September 2024, when I did a local news story on how I went from being a sports media personality to being an astrologer, I was still, quote unquote, outed by the news to a lot of people in the area. A lot of people who thought I was missing were like, oh, she just didn't fuck with us anymore. Yeah, that's right. But there's a lot of people that I felt that I really like owed my authentic self to. And that was also a person that I owed my authentic self to was myself. And people have been around me my whole life. I started my first internet personality online when I was like 14, and I pretended to be a 19-year-old like loudmouth. I can't remember what the thing was, but I like got paid articles on these sites, and then I would be in forums that were meant for people way older than me, and I would just mouth off about things. And it's just like me chiming in with information. I learned something super quickly, and then I immediately want to share it because I'm like, if this could change my perspective, what could it do for other people? That's why I have a book list. Every book that I have put on my book list is a book that I have read or one of the people that I've interviewed for the Northern magazine has suggested. I love having a place to like put things in, and like ideally I'd like to start a book club and a spiritual book club where everyone can just like read a book and then we talk about it, because there's so much. What I'd really like to do is have a Sabian symbol book club. So if you want to learn more about Sabian symbols and maybe have some sort of monthly gathering where we share our stories about Sabian symbols and the things that we have like learned from them. Like everyone has a Sabian symbol in their chart that would blow their mind if they actually went in and looked and dissected all the different areas of their chart. I look at Sabian symbols for your angles, so your AC, IC, DC, and MC. I look at Sabian symbols for the start of each house. So the first house, your rising starts at that degree. So your second house, the degree that starts at. It just seems like it's something along the lines of cathartic, I guess, when you realize that it's all connected and that everything that you've tried to do your entire life, not a single person in this world has had a unique thought. We are connected. Science just dropped this study where we're all connected brain neural network wise. So when you heal yourself, you literally heal other people. Nothing selfish about it. You look at your blood, like I did way too much genealogy research in 2022, okay? I have traced my family back to bloodlines of 443 BC. That doesn't even make any sense. When I try to do a genealogy report on a site that's not, well, I guess Ancestry doesn't go back like that, but geni.com, GENI.com, when I do that, they call it a mythological bloodline. They don't even think it's real, but like, we had a historian trace our family back over in England back to the 443 BC, but I happened to find this very obscure document that said all that, and it like lists out, I see a whole list of all the people I'm related to. I've looked them all up. I've looked where they lived. I've seen some of their properties. Some of their properties are turned into historical like hotels. I'm going to get to go stay whenever I start traveling the world again. I'm going to get to go stay at the places where my ancestors built and lived. Like, that's going to be so freaking cool. Is it all great ancestry? Is it all like everyone was super happy and did nothing wrong? No, I'm related to the Normans. Like, I know that the conquest and this like fire within lives within me. But if you are lucky enough to know what you are made of through your mom and dad, and you can find those lines and you can start to like study just where your family lived. If you, even if you can find a city and go visit that. I went to my grandfather that I never met's hometown in Bell, Missouri, and it turns out that's where my Mars and my Sun line cross in astrocartography, is like right outside of where he grew up. And I'm sitting here like, there's no way. And so I felt like a really strong pull to be there. And I also felt a really strong pull to get the F out. So who knows? But it was just like, these parts of you that exist are not by coincidence. Everything in this world, which can be a little bit overwhelming, like I said, sometimes you don't need to understand all that. Sometimes you just need to like sleep it off and be like, hey, there's more information tomorrow. If you have Gemini placements or Scorpio placements, please take breaks in your research, coming from somebody that has that energy. Knowing that there's just so much out there to learn about yourself through, you don't have to go and get a DNA test. You can just go, I think Salt Lake City has this huge genealogy research place. And I'm not going to go convert to Mormonism. I've seen Secret Lives and Mormon Wives. I do not crave plastic in my body or I know I have black and white house like energy right back here, but I promise it's not the weird McMansions that are all black and white with no personality. You can see the clutter. I've got personality, right? But like, there's just something about knowing your roots and knowing where you came from and doing those studies. And I did an ancestry test. I'm not really worried about it. If you visited a hospital, they have DNA samples of you. I'm not a part of any sort of like 13th Illuminati family, so I don't really have to worry about people chasing me down or whatever the hell fear-based people want to like put out there. I'm very much a person that feels like knowing your roots is like the biggest honor that you could have. And I'm a Cancer rising, so home, family, roots, everything means a lot to me. Plus having my South Node and Virgo conjunct my IC is like, it's a very much a coming back to yourself type feeling. So I encourage it. I love it. I want more people to find themselves in the next like year and a half, 2 years. I think 2027 is going to be the best year yet, just with the amount of love and true life being poured back into the world. 2025 has been on my books as something to be like, holy shit, how are we going to get through this one? But I think the key is love. And I think the key is finding your inner magic and daring to dream that you are more than somebody to just wake up, go to work, pay taxes, and die. There's so much more to you than that. And if I could tell anyone to do anything, it would be find your birth time and then everything else will just pan out. But earlier I was asked what is my favorite part of being an astrologer. And I'd have to say that being able to work with the diverse people, just people from all walks of life, all over the world. My Astrology 101 ebook was downloaded in 101 countries. I can't even name 101 countries. I just have to go through that list. But it was just freaking mind-blowing to be like, are you kidding me? This has gone to so many places that I don't even have a list of them all. Knowing that there's people out there that have never watched a live stream, but they might have read a book. I really went into the Astrology 101 book with an editing eye. I wanted to revise, perfect, and kind of clarify a lot of things. I have a Pisces Mercury, as I mentioned, and it can be a little bit like, all right, we did the thing. Now don't ever think about it or revisit again. We don't need to. We already completed it. Let's go. Let's keep moving forward. Go with the flow. And I'm like, can we just go back and edit some things? Virgo Pisces axis. It is a trip, but learning to not be a perfectionist in my astrology work has been very, very humbling. And it's been a difficult experience because even when the book came out, people were like messaging me or adding us as authors and being like, hey, here's a typo here. And I'm like, thank God you found it, because my brain is so fried. I don't think I can do it anymore. It's seeing people as an astrologer, seeing people go from skeptics to believers, or my dream is to do a class with people that have never even heard of astrology and just answer all their questions. And all I want you to do is come prepared with your birth time. I love doing live astrology readings. I can do them anywhere, anytime. Also, in any state of sobriety. Do I need to be doing astrology readings when I'm shit-faced? No, I don't really do that much anymore. I'm not a big drinker. I do partake in cannabis. Obviously, I have a medical card. It's something that has been helping me since my Saturn return regulate my nervous system. And I'm very proud of our endocannabinoid system that I've learned about and all the different ways that we can help enrich our body with plant medicine. So I'm a huge advocate for herbalism as well as plant medicine. I don't know if I'll ever take ayahuasca because I'm not really sure if I enjoy the idea of vomiting in front of people, but we'll see. I love taking any sort of just supplement that is ancient, like Shilajit. I went through a Shilajit kick for a while. I know turmeric's not ancient, but it's definitely from a place of newness when it comes to the Western world that I happen to live in. And inflammation has gone away through turmeric and cumin. And it's like you have so many different parts of your body. We're just all minerals, water, and like that's it. And electricity. We have electricity coursing through us, but no one knows where that electricity comes from. The consciousness is what most people spend a lot of their spiritual journey trying to figure out. And astrology doesn't really dictate your life. It impacts your life, whether you pay attention to it or not. That's why I tell people astrology exists whether you believe it or not. Believe it or not. That's what I said on the news. It was on Sunday Night Football, and everyone saw it. And everyone in Kansas City was just like, oh, she does exist still. Okay, cool. I did have a few people come out of the woodwork, quickly blocked them. And I'm like, no, thank you. But like the people that I find, like Rosie the Pug earlier from my former media life, just knowing that people have followed me in that transition from radio blabbermouth to witchy astrologer, that's incredible. That also shows me that these people are highly like in the flow themselves. So maybe that's why it works out. All right, I got to get some water at some point, you guys. I don't know if I could be any more gold right now. It's definitely pretty fun. I enjoy the fact that it's so bronze. And everything is just so like Leo season. Very much here for it. So yeah, getting back to the fact that I think helping people find their helping is not the right word again, empowering people to find that magic and directing them to that and being like, see, you had it in you all along. That's the best part. I freaking love doing that. So that's my favorite part of being an astrologer. Also, when I get on a really deep research, deep dive, and I'm like, oh my gosh, everything makes sense. That happened to me when working with the Kennedy family charts. A lot of people have spent years and years and years researching the Kennedy families, or there's like all these historians that research all these famous people. And it kind of makes me laugh because I'm like, how the hell do you like learn anything about a person that's been dead without having their astrology chart? Like, how do you know anything about this person without knowing their astrology? And I'm like, you don't use astrology, but you profile people? Okay, that's a choice. Like, I get it. With Anne Boleyn, there's no recorded birth date. It's like somewhere between X date and X date. And we're like, okay, we get it. So yeah, if you're researching Anne Boleyn, you know the date of her execution. So there could be some similarities there. But people that are really well documented, like just even psychologists, like I started working with Marion Woodman's books, and I cannot say enough great things. If you are going into your 30s, or if you are in your 30s or 40s as a woman and might have a complicated relationship with yourself or your mother or both, Marion Woodman can teach you so many things. I would have to say my favorite book of hers so far is The Owl Was a Baker's Daughter. That is a Shakespeare reference. If you got that, kudos to you. You are highly educated and intelligent. I had to learn about that through Marion Woodman's book. But even finding her chart, I'll probably do her chart for the next issue at the Northern. Finding her chart and being like, oh my gosh, there's a reason I love this psychologist. There's a reason that I love this author. And then here's a great example. Another one is I harassed my hairstylist enough that I have her birth information. I had her birth time and I remembered her birth time. I just couldn't remember the AM or PM part. So I do that a lot. I'm actually waiting on one of the housewives to clarify whether it's AM or PM for her birth time before I can announce like getting back to that. But anyways, the amount of information that you can just have from her birth time is fascinating. You can write whole profiles on people that you've never even spoken to. Like I've never once had a conversation with Marion Woodman, but her work speaks so loudly for itself. And then I find out she has a 22-degree Leo sun conjunct 22-degree Leo Mercury. Hello. Of course, she's cutting to the deep of people's hearts. So having those things, having astrology as like another weapon in your arsenal, to me can kind of feel like, okay, we have the basics with, the sun sign. The sun sign is what everybody knows. It's their birthday. They're like, oh, I'm a Pisces, or I'm an Aries, or they're like, I'm a Pisces Aries cusp. And I'm like, no, you're not. No, you're not. You are one or the other. Fun story. Cusps are the cusp of the houses. That's what those are. You're not on a cusp. You're either a 0-degree Aries sun or a 29-degree, 59-minute Pisces sun. You do have a specific one. So I do encourage people that are born on around the 20th of the months. Around the 20th of the months is when the signs shift. So yeah, I think that's really good information to know in the late 20s, early 20s with the equinox. It's all early 20s. So just be aware, just know your birth time if you can, but be aware of the magic that lives within you. And if you've forgotten the magic, go to my website, download an Astrology 101 book, then download the Sabian Symbols Guide, download all 6 of my magazine offerings that we have so far, download any of my free stuff. I have so much of it, but I'm super proud of my guidebook. This is like, once again, I offer free things because right now, being a mom full-time and being a caretaker full-time, my schedule is very tight. So when I say, I have open office hours, I want to actually mean that, right? And so when I do have reading options, I record them. I have an option called the 1 hour of my mind, which is my favorite reading. For $100, it might go up, so don't quote me on that one. For around $100, could go to $150. I feel like my time is quite valuable. And after paying other professionals that do similar services, and they're charging like 3 to 4 times more, and I feel like sometimes I'm like, I feel like I could maybe up my prices. I'm like, no, make yourself accessible. So my most accessible reading that will never be more than $100 to like $150 is the 1 hour of my mind. This is the one where I start with, I'm recorded on a microphone. It's the same audio quality, and it's a recorded reading that you'll get on Google Drive. And it talks about your magic, but it's 1 hour on the clock. So once I start talking, you get about an hour. Sometimes I ramble and sometimes I go way over an hour, and then I'm like, haha, hope you wanted more than what you paid for. And usually it's not a big deal. Usually people are like, hey, that's cool. Do what you want. But sometimes you get people who are like, oh my God, that was so much. I couldn't do it all. But you get an Astro Gold report. It's an Astro Gold, like pre-written report. It's like one of those populated ones that you can get if you pay for Astro Gold. I took the plunge and I now have Astro Gold. So I am sending everyone a birth chart report. If you just want one for free and want to contact me, email me, because you've made it this far in this video. So if you're seeing this, email me and I'll send you an Astro Gold birth chart report. It's like 30 pages of information about you. And I even like read mine the other day and I'm like, this is kind of cool. I kind of like this. It's nice to see. It's a great reference point. So you get an Astro Gold report, you get an Astrology 101 book. Unless you tell me that you're like experienced with astrology, then I won't send that to you. I will also send you your astrocartography map. I'm not going to like do an astrocartography reading for you, but I'll send you the Astro Gold map because it's a really cool map. And then I send you an audio link or a Google Drive with an audio recording in there, and it's on the Google Drive. And that is a straight hour of me reading all the things. Like, I study the chart way before. Like, I never just give an hour of my time. Let's be real. I'm a Pisces MC, so I'm going to give, and just like keep going and like not really stop to be like, oh, did I give too much of myself? Who cares? Keep flowing, because I know whatever I give comes back to me in tenfold, and it's a beautiful experience to be able to give somebody the gift of knowing thyself, and they turn around and live this beautiful life, and then they get to remember, if they ever remember, oh yeah, it all started by taking a chance on some crazy redheaded lady that says that I'm made up of magical stardust and need to remember that. Like, hey, that's what my whole point of the 1 hour of my mind readings is, to remind you of you. And it's not easy to see yourself through an outside lens or a zoomed out lens, but I can focus on any area that you want. If you want me to talk about your love life, if you want me to talk about your career, you can specify it in the notes. If you just want 1 hour of birth chart breakdown, cool. If you want a solar return reading, cool. If you want anything really, like whatever you specify in the comments of the 1 hour of my mind, I will focus on. I recently posted a tweet about Nancy Reagan being the throat goat, and she was ruled by her Taurus Venus, and Venus and Taurus is very much Taurus rules the throat. Haha, Nancy Reagan. So if you are interested in those skills and you want to send me a thing with notes saying, hey, tell me more about my throat goat skill, whatever it is, I don't really care what it is. I'm not going to judge you. The one thing that I do not do though, and it's hard to put boundaries up for some people, if you order a synastry reading with me and you have the birth time, but you don't have the permission from that person to use their birth time in the reading, unless like I just get a weird feeling and I'm like, do you really have permission for this? I'm not going to say anything. That will be your own karma to deal with. I do not like when people take birth times and then like try to study somebody without their knowledge. To me, birth times and synastry reports should be consensual. So I don't ask for the other person's availability, but I do say in my readings in the checkout form, hey, if you want to bring another person into this astrology reading and you don't have full permission from them to be doing this reading, that's on you. I'm still going to do the reading. You don't have to tell me who the person is. If you want a synastry chart between you and your business, just give me that in the notes. Say, hey, this is actually the person B is my business, and I'd like you to tell me how we operate. I am totally flexible on all these things. I think it can just be kind of intimidating when I'm like, hey, my astrology readings are out and available, but I don't talk about selling them. I don't talk about what they are. And I really don't talk about a lot of the things that I offer just because I'm like, hey, if people want to find them, they will. I don't believe in that like constant, I post a hit tweet, oh, hey, everybody, book with me. I like to say, hey, everybody, here's my free 101 guide, because it's like that's going to make my heart happier. My hair and makeup artist today, K Jo, she's amazing. Kelsey Jo, she's with Glam and Glow Photography and Makeup and Hair. She's one-stop shop. We're actually going to be doing a few projects this fall together. So your girl's getting back into modeling, which I'm so excited for. Proving you can model at any size and any age is kind of my favorite thing. So I'm very much looking forward to that journey. But we were just talking this morning about how important it is to want to do what you want to do. I fired a photographer in March and gave them a scathing letter of, hey, you might want to fix this shit about your company and your professional demeanor. And unfortunately, my hair and makeup artist was part of that, like, the same group and social circle as this person. So it was like this big thing. And I'm like, you're lucky that I was so nice. This person showed up, had no idea what we were doing that day for the shoot, and had no idea what was going on, even though I had told specifically 3 months in advance what I was going for, the type of backdrop I needed, down to the reference photo of the artwork that I was imitating. And I'm like, bro, way to show up completely butchering it all. I didn't get anything that I had like originally paid for. It took like 2 months to get back. It was so messy. And knowing that that's not how my stylist does her work at all, and she's incredible, it was just like, okay, cool. I'm just glad that like we don't have to deal with this anymore. But there are literally people who have a gift, and because they don't feel safe or they don't feel heard or they don't feel validated within themselves, they butcher their gift, they blow up everything that they are talented at doing, and they run themselves into the ground. I can recognize it a mile away because it happened to me. And so when I see other people going through that, I want to give grace and I want to show grace because I remember how hard those years were for me. So I did show a lot of restraint in the things that I wanted to say versus the thing like when you lose hundreds of dollars, and it's because somebody just didn't care enough to pay attention, even though you gave them all the means to do it, you're gonna get angry, right? But like part of my amazing spiritual process is realizing that I was once that person that was going through it, but couldn't really see it myself at the time and would constantly be cultivating opportunities, experiences, and all these things. And I'd be like, wait, am I even like qualified to do this? I'm just going to jump in and try. And I was probably pretty scattered. And so I'm like, I'm going to show some grace here. And, you know, being able to have those moments and being able to really connect with people in a genuine manner, that's gold to me. So when I connected with my stylist and I connected with, you know, these people that were all supposed to be part of this big art scene in Kansas City, I was really excited about it. But each and every time I would keep going further in these places. And of course, my stylist knew all about that. I would find that people didn't know what the hell they were doing. These were like supposed to be professionals. At one point I was poised to take over a local newspaper here. I have never been an editor of a newspaper. I have no idea what I'm doing. But there's people that believed in my skills that were like, we can do something with this. I ended up seeing the insides and the inner workings of how this, you know, paper operated. And of course, leave it to me with Gemini moons. Gemini is at home in the third house. Leave it to me to just jump into journalism and print and not know what I was doing. But years later, instead of having some magazine that I don't really align with or agree with any of their views, I have my own. Because 4 or 5 years ago, I was chasing something and it wasn't quite right for me. And it like everything just kind of kept exposing itself. So I feel like when you meet people that are passionate about what they do, they love it. They wake up every day wanting to edit photos, wanting to be out there shooting and getting their clients the best lighting possible, helping people see how beautiful they really are. Everyone has beauty. You simply have to be able to see it. And when you see it, it's because you see your own beauty and you see everyone's beauty in their gifts because it's like, holy shit, it's so obvious. All we're meant to do on this planet is love each other and come together as a community and support each other. It's like the little villages and all that stuff. So while I cannot live in a village at the moment, who knows? I have a very long life ahead of me. I would like to create that somehow in what I do. And by finding the right people who are passionate and they work hard and they have work ethics, which is, as you can see, everything started spazzing out where I'm like, work ethics. It's so important to have work ethic. I have so much work ethic, I have to stop myself from having it, but it's the follow through. It's the doing what you say you're going to do. It's holding yourself accountable. It's having discipline. It's daring to put yourself out there. Do you know how scary this shit is? Luckily, I've been so busy today. It just feels like I'm continuing my conversation that I had earlier, but being able to sit down and talk to people and have a natural conversation and do it on the internet for anyone to go see, it's fucking scary. So I get why people don't do this stuff. You know, I get why people are like, yeah, I might have a camera, but no, I will not be using it. I get it. But at the same time, we need people to help others learn about how to heal themselves. One of my favorite ways to tell people to like start the spiritual awakening process is watch an old childhood movie. Watch it from the lens that you have now as an adult or as a growing adult. If you haven't hit your Saturn return yet, go back and watch it with your eyes now. Notice the things that you didn't notice before. Think about how the messages in that movie could have shaped who you were at the time, or could have like possibly given you insight on how people were, or maybe formed a core part of your personality. I know plenty of people whose whole personality is the Lord of the Rings trilogy or whatever, how many there are. I know people who have the whole personality is Harry Potter. I know people, I was once horse girl. I still am kind of. Sorry, I didn't grow out of that. I was Pokemon girl at one point, and now I sent my Pokemon cards off to get graded, and I am very excited about that because I had no idea that there was anything in there. I just thought it was just a weird childhood hobby that I was meticulous about, to the point where I'm like, I don't know how I organized them, but they were like quite organized still. Oh, yes. And Luna, I didn't miss your comment. As a Cancer stellium, I completely get you about giving to others. Yes. Water signs get it. We give, we give, we give, because water gives. Water just exists. It flows. It erodes. It gives life to everything on this planet. So does the sun, fire. So does the air signs. So does the earth signs. So understanding the elements, understanding your personal energy, understanding that we are all cosmic stardust and we are all simply trying to walk each other home to that magical place where apparently everything is just like cosmic, like a DMT trip 24/7. Never done DMT, but I feel like that could be pretty epic. Just knowing that there's so much of the afterlife and so much of the paranormal that people are really pouring a lot of energy into with Pluto and Aquarius, as well as just new frontiers. That's what we're going to be seeing with Saturn and Aries and Saturn and Neptune. Trailblazing is going to be the new standard. We're not going to be able to have any stagnant energy with those two, Saturn and Neptune. And, Mars is currently opposing that. And it can kind of feel like a lot. I personally am drained. So after 2 hours of talking to you guys, it still feels like I got this down. I feel like I'm able to share what I do with you all. If you want to order astrology reading, you probably know how it works now. My other astrology readings that I have, they're way more expensive. Take me like 10 to 14 days to put together. I go through each and every one of your Sabian symbols. I am calling in energy from your whole chart. I divide it into like the astrological profile is what I do for the housewives. I divide it into every single thing broken down. You have arrows to where your sun is, your moon, your Mercury, your Venus, like all of it. I break it down planet by planet, placement by placement. And it's a huge undertaking, and it's a custom, really pretty PDF. I can also print them, like I said, print them and keep them as like a physical keepsake. If that's something you're interested in, just email me, northernastrology@gmail.com. Best way to reach me. If you want to email me to tell me that we should have a phone call or Zoom or something like that, I would much rather you go to my booking link and just set one up. And if you have ever ordered a reading from me, I have free follow-up calls available on my scheduling link as well. It's gracey.as.me. That's Gracey. I do not spell it with an IE, but props to you if you do. I just like the EY. I'm so grateful each and every day that my mom chose to name me Gracey with an EY. I love it so much more. Don't ask me why. It's just my strange way of needing things to fit into places and like make sense to me. When I was little, my grandma called me Grace, and that's the only person that's ever been allowed to call me Grace. And she's been passed now for 13 years? Yeah, 13 years. So it's been a long time since I've had anybody call me Grace, and I would much rather prefer you all call me Gracey. If you are looking for me on socials outside of YouTube, I'm also streaming this on Twitter. I'm not calling it X. It's at North Astrology. I do have a surprise for you guys. If you've been paying attention this far, I want to talk about it just real quick before I sign off here. I have spent the summer gathering some information. That information happens to be about the Kansas City Chiefs. If you can't tell already, huge Chiefs fan. I also have a helmet back there. Yep. From Niall Davis. It says to Gat from Niall. It's very lovely. The old agency that I worked for represented him, so it was pretty awesome to get that. I was like, oh, thanks. But being a Kansas City Chiefs fan has been a journey. We've talked about that. We've covered it in all my blogs. I don't need to tell you about how, well, actually I could tell you. There's that photo back there of me when I was in a Chiefs jersey in 1994. It was an obsolete, obscure player's jersey, but it was still like me in 1994, like, yeah, Chiefs. So I'm not a bandwagon fan. Just putting that out there. But the ride that the Chiefs journey has been, I'm like, I've got to know more as an astrologer, as a Chiefs fan, as someone who is working in the sports astrology world. I don't want to say it, but if it wasn't for Andrea Malice, I don't think I'd have any of this ability to be on radio. Andrea is Virgo in service, and she is an incredible sports astrologer. She's been on ESPN long before I was. I just happened to have the first astrology wheel and like all that shown by wheel on ESPN. And Andrea's been paving the way in so many different forms. And so I thought, how can I continue to pay homage to what she's done, what I've done by, like I said, being on ESPN, being on the news, talking about astrology and sports. I mentioned the Mars effect earlier. If you guys want to go down a rabbit hole, go check out the Mars effect in astrology. I posted about it recently on my profile too. But there's just something about the moon. And as a moon ruled person, the Kansas City Chiefs, every single time I've predicted like what they're doing or like how they're going to win, it has to do with the moon. And I'm like, I don't know what it is, but when the Chiefs won the Super Bowl by 3 points and I correctly predicted that, it was because I added the moon degree together. I was like 2 + 1 = 3. Like, that's it. It was just really that easy. And I'm like, yeah, they're going to win by 3 because the moon was in a good aspect and it was conjunct Mahomes to Saturn exactly or something. This last game, this last Super Bowl that I still haven't talked about really, I said the Chiefs were going to win by 2 or lose by 20 because the moon was at 20 degrees Cancer. So I'm like, all right, they're either winning by 2 or losing by 20. They ended up losing by 18. So I know the moon has something to do with it, right? So I've spent the summer. If you want to, I don't want to brag, but I will. I'm going to get my hair right while I do this. I don't want to brag, but I spent my summer charting every single Chiefs win and loss since 1963. And not only that, I looked up the exact time for every single game in Chiefs history. And I am currently in the process of now getting every single chart for every single game and tracking where the moon was. Because I believe the moon is absolutely key in sports astrology because it's the fastest moving placement that we have in our charts. It's a luminary, so it's very much like can't be photographed, can't be tamed, feminine energy, which you wouldn't normally associate with sports. But I feel like it does impact the outcome. So it is my mission to get this moon document. It sounds so weird. This moon document ready to go, ready for public to see, and for you guys to all be like, wow, this is either insane, and I will come out and say, hey guys, I've learned nothing. The moon doesn't impact anything, and I was misled. Or I'm going to come out with, the actual thing that I will be saying. Hey, I just tracked where the moon was for every single Chiefs game since 1963. I am now stronger and more equipped to talk about the Chiefs than I've ever been in my existence. And how? Through the power of the one and only Her Majesty, the moon. I think it's going to hit, and I'm excited for it. So if you guys are looking forward to more of me yapping, I will be back on camera in just 4 days. Because once I start, I will not stop. That is actually a thing. Once I start talking about astrology, it is very hard, as you can see 2 hours later, for me to stop. And sharing parts of my journey and sharing how normal it is to live like such a muggle life and then magically wake up one day and you're like, holy shit, everything's connected. It all has meaning and the planets love me. Yep, it's that simple, and you're that magical without even trying. So, if you're ready to find that magic, if you want more of that, if you're looking for more of that in your life, all you have to do is keep trying. I've lived 1,000 lives before I became an astrologer, as you can tell from just the tiny bits that I shared. I shared a lot. That's a lot of sharing. I'm definitely going to go celebrate with a very, very chill evening and checking in on Mariah's space today. If you're not around Twitter, it'll definitely be recorded, hopefully, so you can pop back in, but I'll be retweeting it after I pop in at least. I'm going to enjoy some wine with the love of my life, celebrate the full moon, cook some food, be happy, enjoy this Friday, whether you think it's a portal or not. It's an ancient magical time that kind of tapers off around the 12th. So you've got a few days to enjoy it, okay? So I highly suggest that you enjoy yourself some way, shape, or form. Full moon in Aquarius, you could read my book. That's one way to know about what's going on with the full moon. But the other way to do this is to just really connect with your heart. Full moons are when the moon opposes the sun. So the sun being in Leo means the full moon's always going to be in Aquarius. So Leo is the heart. Aquarius is the circulatory system. Connecting with your heart, whether it's just trying something new, like going to a new space tonight and trying a new train of thought through, if Mariah's going to offer a meditation, I'm not sure, but there's going to be something there that I'm sure you can take away. Try something where you're feeling a little bit more expressive. Tell someone you love them. I know Aquarius energy is all about being aloof and liberated, but when it's the full moon and you're working with the duality of energies, in order to truly experience the full moon maxing or aura maxing or whatever maxing it is, full moon maxing means that you work from your heart, especially with a full moon in Aquarius. So I hope, if anything, this has been a little bit about me more. I'm going to be turning this into short form and sharing it all over my YouTube. So if you missed the stream, good news, you've got 400 different shorts coming from this live stream alone, because I feel like I talked about 400 different things. But the main thing is that anytime, any place, anywhere in the world, or even not in this world, you can start over, you can change your path, you can do the new thing. And this energy for the rest of 2025. By the way, I don't know if you guys know this, 2025 isn't over until March of next year. That's Aries season. When you go from Aries season to Pisces season, that's a full year. And we're only in Leo season. We still have Virgo season, Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces. So we have a long way to go. It's not over yet. Start the thing, do the thing. I dare you. See where you're going to be by this time September. I guarantee it's going to be someplace different. So once again, my name is Gracey. I have taught for 2 hours straight. I have loved every single minute of it. There's so much in here if you want to take the time and listen. It's very much a fun and energetic video that I was trying to go for here. Live streaming after 5 months of being off, I think I killed it. So thank you guys so much again. Be sure to check out Northern Astrology for all the freebies I mentioned and just more of my blog and more about me if you want to know it. So talk to you guys soon.